Welcome to the PAPRAS Podcast, where we talk about anything and everything plastic surgery. I am Dr. Jean Chonko of the Philippine Association of Plastic, Reconstructive, and Aesthetic Surgeons, or PAPRAS. Today, I have with me the chair of the Philippine Board of Plastic Surgery. I'd like to introduce our guest, Dr. J. Estoya.
Hi, Gene.
Hi,
Thank
hi.
you for having me.
Yes, of course, anytime. We'd like to talk about training, board certification. But first of all, you can introduce yourself, sir.
All right. I'm a certified plastic and reconstructive surgeon. I finished my training at the Philippine General Hospital. Then I moved to Bacolod, where I have my practice. So there I am the faculty of the St. La Salle University College of Medicine, and I also head the burn center at the regional hospital. So now I'm the chair of the Philippine Board of Plastic Surgery.
Before we talk about being the chair, siguro, people would like to know what there is in the training. I mean, you become a plastic surgeon, but how many years? I mean, you graduated medical school in UP. So after that, what training did you go to be a plastic surgeon? Is there a prerequisite, you go into general surgery and?
Okay. I was lucky I got into a straight program
Okay.
at the UPPGH, where my training was a 6-year program, integrating the general surgery part and the plastic reconstructive surgery part. But for the others, they finish general surgery and they become eligible for the 3-year fellowship or the plastic surgery proper training.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's nice to know. And then, are there any exams that you take? And
Oh, definitely. This is where I take the
Okay.
major role now.
yes.
After finishing the training in plastic and reconstructive surgery, you take a certifying board exam.
Okay.
So once you pass the board, then you're certified as a bona fide plastic surgeon.
So it's a long process, and I think part of your it's not really a job, but part of your function as the chair is to really check or filter, future plastic surgeons.
Okay, basically, a lot of screening is done under the training program. It's a tedious process. You're taking a trainee, and then day in, day out, you'll know the trainee. You evaluate the trainee based on skills, knowledge, and attitude. Then when he finishes the 6-year or the 8-year program, the training institution makes a recommendation to the Philippine Board of Plastic Surgery.
Okay.
Once we receive the recommendation, we evaluate the eligibility of the graduate. Then we allow the graduate to take a series of exams, which is basically 2 parts. One is the written, and once he passes the written exam, then he moves to the oral exam, where she is going to present a number of cases.
Okay.
Then finally, when the graduate passes both parts, we give the certification.
Okay.
We tell the public that he's competent enough, safe enough to serve.
Okay. Such tedious, but it's a process, and I think that's a good role for a society that someone checks, and there's a check and balance between who gets to be a certified plastic surgeon, and that's a good role that you have.
Yes, because fundamentally the board is there to protect the standard. After all things said and done, really, is is to protect the public interest of safety. You know, you want to certify somebody who's competent, and not only competent but a safe surgeon, and that's basically the role of the board. Before we give the mark, we just want to be assured that you possess enough knowledge, enough skills, and the right attitude, and ultimately that you are a safe surgeon.
It's nice to know. I think one of the key words I keep on hearing from you is the word safety, and that's nice to know that, and important that you'd want plastic surgeons to be safe.
Yes, because at this age and time, not just for plastic surgery, for any field of medicine for that matter, we have evolved with data and experience already. And we can distinguish what's a safe procedure. Not compared probably 100 years ago, right? You really don't know. People practice based on what they think, what they feel is right. But now we're in the age of information. We have data, we have experience. We share information, we share data, not just among ourselves, Filipino plastic surgeons, but with our brothers and sisters all over the world. And we understand practice guideline, we understand best practices, and we understand evidence-based decision making. So when we craft the exam, it's not just nitpicking information. There's a purpose to it. We're cognizant of the fundamentals of reliability, validity, that ultimately you want to certify somebody that you can vouch for such a surgeon, and you can tell the public that he has reached such qualification and level of skills and knowledge and safety.
That's nice. There's such a high standard, and I think it's important for people to know that there's a standard, really high standard, that is being set by the PAPRAS and of course the certifying board, which is the Philippine Board of Plastic Surgery, for you to be a plastic surgeon. And that's something that sets probably plastic surgeons here in the Philippines apart from other surgeons doing plastic surgery stuff, or the plastic surgeries roles. I'm thinking, if you're a plastic surgeon, first thing that comes to mind is probably cosmetic surgery or aesthetic surgery. So that's also part of your scope, right? You check those who are capable, plastic surgeons who graduated, who are capable, and you can bring out there to practice safe cosmetic surgery and aesthetic surgery.
Okay. This is a sensitive, if not controversial issue, but I'd rather not be polite about it, okay? From the board side, from the exam qualification side, PAPRAS, the Society of Plastic Surgeons, work hand in hand to keep such standard of expertise, ethics, safety. Again, I can't help but mention safety all the time. But the disadvantage is we can only police our ranks. And there's nothing wrong about that, right? We just keep the standard, and we help each other, remind each other that this is how to do things. This is now the way of doing things. As to the other groups, we don't have much control about that. I don't want to be pretentious and say that I don't want to say, oh, this is difficult. On our side, on our side. The burden of proof is that we, as plastic surgeons, are not only doing it better, but doing it the right way and doing it safer. All right? As to the other groups, I cannot vouch. It's not under my purview. So what the challenge as chair of the board, working with PAPRAS for that matter, is keeping the standard.
And with these standards and certifying exam, you are under the PRC, the Philippine Regulatory Commission, right? Which means you're recognized as the highest certifying body to allow plastic surgeons to finish, to pass, and to go out there and practice.
Yes, we hold that position in not just in the academic world, but in the legal licensure arena. As PRC recognizes the Philippine College of Surgeons, and the Philippine College of Surgeons has a council where all board are a part of, and the Philippine Board of Plastic Surgery is very active in that. So if you look at the progression, yes, categorically, the Philippine Board of Plastic Surgery is the standard.
That's nice to know, and very important also to be informed about the lofty position that you and the PBPS stand for, and you are in. Okay, let's lighten it a little bit, Jay, and get me through this process. I'm a graduate of a plastic surgery program.
All right.
Okay, I know we have 9 plastic surgery programs all over the Philippines. So I graduated from one of them. Can I practice plastic surgery already?
Okay, let me walk you through. All right. Getting to a program in itself is tough. Okay? But that's only the first step. So you get into a plastic surgery program, and the plastic surgery training proper is 3 years. Within the 3 years, there is a series of evaluation, both from the board itself. The board doesn't come in when you graduate. While still in training, we evaluate the trainees. We keep track, a record of their academic background, of the tests we administer yearly, and we work with the training institution to a point that they have to endorse the graduate to us. Again, I mentioned the issue of eligibility. There are requirements who is eligible to take the exam, and that's just to take the exam. So after finishing, complying with these requirements, which involve number of cases, doing research, and many things under training, under the purview of training, we give the exam. The exam in itself is not easy because inherently the scope of plastic and reconstructive surgery is wide. Can you imagine you have to understand hair growth at one extreme, and the other extreme you must understand how to anastomose a 1 millimeter vessel. Okay, so from the toe to the head to the hair, you have to understand plastic and reconstructive surgery. So it's not an easy exam. It might be the toughest exam you're gonna take in one's career. And it doesn't stop there. Once you pass the written exam, you have to collect cases. And these cases you have to personally present to the board. And again, it doesn't stop there. Other than the cases you have prepared, there are surprise cases that will be discussed. So no cup is left unturned in evaluating a graduate, and before the board declares or certifies this person as a true plastic and reconstructive surgeon, that we can release this person to the public to serve.
Okay. That, as someone, if I'm someone, not in the medical field or I'm a patient, that gives me enough trust and confidence knowing that, my plastic surgeon, had to undergo this rigorous, examination. There's a certain standard to it, and that's important. And we cannot take anything for granted, especially the position you're in, and that's something very important that people out there should know.
Yes, not many are aware of such the scheme of things. Okay, the length, the effort, for lack of a better term, the drama, just to put up a competent and safe plastic surgeon. Oftentimes, this is tainted by other practitioners who are not plastic surgeons, but dwell or work in the same work that perhaps we do. But unfortunately, as chair of the board, I can only police our ranks. I don't have power to rule over the other side of the fence, so to speak.
Of course, we're talking about exam. So, an exam, there's pass and fail. But I know, if there are doctors or plastic surgeons who make it. What about those who do not make it? Are they still eligible or?
Okay, well, thank you for bringing that up. There are strict rules. Technically, there are limit to the number of exam you're allowed to fail, and the recommendation is you have to go back to training. All right, but when a graduate fails the exam, we don't brush it aside. We look into, oh, you won't believe this, Gene. We go back even up to where he took his high school. Is he the class valedictorian? What happened along the way? And we quantitatively and qualitatively look at the exam and why he's not able to answer such an item, because everything is measured. Okay, when we make an exam, there's a scientific way of putting an exam, and the mindset is we must be sure what we want to measure, correct? So if somebody fails, we have to evaluate, and we go to the extent of talking with the training program, informing them that unfortunately the graduate didn't make it, and we advise them on areas we think why it happened. Maybe she had just had a hard breakup. You know what I mean? I mean, we go through stress of life, and even the brightest can fail an exam. But at least on our part, we just will make sure that it's not the misgiving or the failure of the standard. You understand?
Yeah, I get it. And we're talking about standards also. So it's not just, it's now that I'm well informed. It's not just, for the sake of giving an exam. Mm-hmm. It's something that you guys, the board, prepares. So I know that I hear words from you like validity, and there's like a measure. So these exams are not easy to make.
Yes.
And I guess you have, you're not just one here, you're a team. So what does, you gather exam and...
Okay. So we're a group elected by peers, plastic surgeons. It's not easy to make an instrument of of measure, an instrument with specific objectives. This is not unique to plastic surgery. All boards go through this. There's a scientific way of doing it. So the manner of question, the form, the content, the intent, the purpose is organized in such a way that it serves its primary purpose, again, to evaluate, to pinpoint a competent and safe surgeon. So it's easier said than done. It's tedious, to say the very least.
Okay, that's good education for me and information that it's not just for me probably, and probably to all those who are listening or watching us. And it's before I let you go, and I'm trying to process everything, our discussion, and it gives me a sense of fulfillment. Me as a plastic surgeon, and there are probably around 200 plastic surgeons out there locally, part of the PAPRAS, and it gives a sense of fulfillment that you had to come from taking an exam that you so very well described, that it's tedious, that there's a process, and you make sure that all those who pass are safe and competent surgeons. So that's a good information, not just information but education to everyone. Any last words or any advice that you can give, especially for those who want to be in plastic surgery, and what separates plastic surgery from the other field?
Okay, from where I'm seated at this side of the table as chair of the board, my goal is just to improve the measure. You might nerd out if we talk about it,
Yes.
but that's my position. I'm here to protect the standard, protect the interests of the board, and to improve the board. And we're moving that in that direction, and we're proud of it. Our hope is that this will translate to better outcomes, and I can see it on the field. Plastic surgeons leveling up, the delivery, and so on and so forth. PAPRAS in general is doing a good job. But that's the limitation, Gene. I can only speak
Yes.
for our tribe, and in as much as I don't want to oversell our kind of people, so to speak, but it is what it is, and we don't have a choice. We just have to keep it up, and this is what we are. We're Filipino plastic surgeons, and we just raise the bar as much as we can.
Okay, thank you. And again, thank you, Dr. J. Estoya, one of the pillars of PAPRAS and one of the, let's just say, guardians or advocates of safe and competent plastic surgery. And I think the PAPRAS is proud to have someone under your leadership and guidance that, you're taking the examination to greater heights. And thank you for, again, gracing this podcast.
Okay, before I say goodbye and thank you, I don't want to sound so messianic. Truth be told, I'm standing on the shoulders of previous members of the board, previous presidents. And if we look at our history, maybe 20 years past, and to look at where we are now, we just continue pushing it. All right, so I might be doing you might feel like I'm doing a heroic job, but honestly, this is a collective effort, not just for the now, but for the collective wisdom of people who held position in the board in so long. Okay, so this is not something we created just overnight. This is years and decades of making. So I think when I say we're doing a good job, I'm not congratulating myself. I'm congratulating the rest of us who've done the effort to put us in this position. So thank you, Jean, for highlighting not myself as a chair, but the board itself. So thank you very much for having me.
The pleasure is all mine. And thank you for watching and listening our podcast. Again, this is the PAPRAS Podcast, where we talk about anything, everything, plastic surgery.